Hey everyone, Dave Brown here with the New Populist. If you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. Well, this topic today is not one that I really enjoy talking about, but I think I should address it because it's such a part of the news cycle right now, and that is the shooting in Buffalo. Now, I won't talk about the actual person. I don't care who he is, what his name is, what he said. Not important to me. He's a slug, a cockroach, and we should not give him any attention. We don't need to explore his inner thoughts and his ideology. It's not important. What is important, however, is how we respond to it collectively, politically, and that's more what I want to address. And one point I want to make too is that these shootings, they're not really motivated by ideology. Let me explain. When you have a society that has antisocial individuals, they will often look for a vehicle to attach to in order to act out their antisocial fantasies. Oftentimes we confuse that with somebody who's actually truly motivated by politics or religion. For example, if you have a youth in, say, Syria who has an antisocial personality disorder and they want to act violently, well, it's very convenient for them because they have a war-torn country with an organization like ISIS, so those individuals would gravitate toward ISIS and doing those groups like that. If you're in Mexico and you had those same problems, you would gravitate toward the cartels. And so every country, depending on their makeup, these antisocial individuals will gravitate towards something in order to act out their sick fantasies. And in the United States, we don't have a ISIS problem. We don't have a cartel problem within the country. And our youths here act usually under the guise of something political, because that is the thing in this country that's so contentious. We're so divided. And so the point is, the politics isn't really motivating these people to do this. That is just the thing they attach to in order to justify what they're doing. And this goes for both sides. Whether it's that Black Lives Matter guy who ran some people over up in Wisconsin, and that's sick crime. The cop in Dallas who was, or not the cop, but the guy in Dallas years ago who shot all the cops. These individuals were bent toward some sort of violence, and they were attaching themselves to the issue of the day in order to feel justified and like what they did had some sort of meaning, when really it didn't. They just wanted to kill people. And so what happens is you have an event, and then both sides politically, left and right, both of them hold their breath and go, oh man, I hope it's not, somebody on our side, quote unquote. And then we dig through that person's, post on Facebook or social media, and we hope that they don't say anything that could make our side look bad. And that's the game both sides play, and we should stop playing that game. Both sides are equally guilty of doing that. If it's a black person, people on the right say, see, it's Black Lives Matter. MSNBC pushed that guy to do this. And if it's this guy up in Buffalo, people go, oh, it's Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson's at fault here. And the true answer is neither one of them are at fault. And both sides have to stop playing this game. But unfortunately, this game will continue to be played because our media, the people that shape our opinions, they can't help themselves. And there's nothing they won't do to further their political objectives. They'll do that even if it means, doing it on the bodies of, thousands of people. They're a media class that has supported wars in countries that have killed tens of thousands of people. Believe me, they're not above politicizing a shooting to push their political narratives, which we're very well aware of. So that is the unfortunate case here. It's happening right now. They've clearly zeroed in on Tucker Carlson as the scapegoat here. frankly, because he is the person that is the most effective from the right. They're not going after Hannity. They're not going after Laura Ingraham. I'm not saying that they're controlled opposition, but they're within that acceptable right-leaning narrative that's really ineffective in actually getting things done and calling out real issues. As we saw, Hannity is very pro-Ukraine and pro going after Russia and Putin. He's not a real threat. Tucker Carlson, however, does deviate from the mainstream a lot in a way that the establishment finds dangerous, in particular the neoliberal establishment. So this is why he, in particular, is the one they try to zero in on and put blame on him in order to try to not shut him up, but their hope is over time they eventually can get him out of Fox News in that very prominent spot where he has the largest cable news audience. So he's effective, and that is why they're going after him. But for us on the right, I would like us to be a little more careful in the future on how we go after these issues. I know the left does it, we've done it, but I think we should be better than that. I don't blame anybody on the left for some crazy nut job doing something crazy. For example, the Bernie Sanders supporter who shot the baseball field in Virginia and shot Steve Scalise. Bernie Sanders was not at fault. This guy who did it is a nut job, plain and simple. And I don't think we should assign individual blame to anybody. Now, we can critique the larger culture in general, where we make things so contentious and political that perhaps we make it easier for people to act out their problems, their mental illnesses. Maybe we can criticize that. So we can talk about it, but it should be from a more general perspective where we're sort of equally criticizing all of our contribution to the problem in our society of having people like this show up and do the things they do. From that perspective, that's how we can criticize it, and that's how we perhaps can work to try to make sure these things will happen in the future. Unfortunately, there's not too much we can do unless we radically change our society. These things will continue to happen. The only other thing we possibly can do is perhaps have our law enforcement spend more of their energy chasing down these kind of idiots rather than going after people for having having political opinions or for peacefully walking through the Capitol on January 6th. Perhaps our resources should zero in on these people, because you look online and these people, there's a whole history of things they've said that is should be of interest to anybody in law enforcement. So, and they slipped through the cracks. But if anybody was paying attention, they would have known that this guy was a problem. So perhaps we could focus our resources on going after people like that. Other than that, there is not a lot we can do to prevent these things. That is not a comforting answer. We want to believe that there's a way to solve these problems. If there were, we would have done it already, but we haven't, because there is no perfect fix to a society of 330 million people with access to guns, which is our constitutional right. And that combination, combined with our crazy, hectic, isolated world where people can get lost online, who are develop these antisocial personality traits, and this is what happens. This is our modern society, and that is the fallout of our modern society. And we just have to do our best we can to minimize the impacts of this society that we live in. But unfortunately, again, there is no perfect solution, and we just have to accept that. Well, that's it for now. Again, if you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.